buy.
If that calculation works for you and it's not that much of your income, perhaps a third of your income, then it's probably a good bet for you.
Or rent.
Rent is also less than the monthly cost of home ownership in cities like Seattle, San Francisco, and Austin, according to Realtor.com.
After a relocation, in that period of time that shall remain nameless, we had ultra low interest rates and, of course, the option of work from home. Of course, now we've got obscenely high interest rates, and that option of working from home is slowly slipping away, just like TV time was when you didn't eat your green beans. The option now for relocation is real. But how can you properly make that decision? So listen, I'm curious, who has been contemplating that relocation? Why don't you comment below? Post your comment, let me know if you're considering that relocation, and it could be relocating within the state or out of state. And if you have been thinking about the relocation, let me know. Are you gonna buy or are you gonna rent? Also, I want you good folks to say where you're from and where you're considering going. There's a lot of options. I'm gonna name a couple options here for you in this video. But yeah, go ahead and mention it. And of course, right, we don't want anyone to self-incriminate themselves. Some employers are maybe scanning the YouTube, so obviously if you don't feel comfortable, that's no problem at all. But if you do feel comfortable, I'm super curious. Let's get some engagement going. Let me know, and also let me know where you live today. So there are primarily three relocation groups that you're gonna fall in one of these buckets, right? So first, in no particular order, is you happen to be single now, and you've always wanted to go to that relo city, but for whatever reason, it could be you may have a partner here and where you're living. You didn't make that move, but now you feel the timing is right. So you're a single individual, and when you're going there, you need to really kind of figure out, is it a short-term versus long-term, right? So for obvious reasons, right, if you go and move to out of state from where you're at, and you decide, oh, this is just not working, something happens either personally or professionally, right? You buy a property, then you've got that asset. And if you happen to buy a property where you can't rent out, you're in bigger trouble. So if you do not have that family and you're kind of singling and mingling, right? And listen, this is coming from a professional realtor, 12 years in the business, go ahead and rent. It's fine to rent. I hate it when folks in our industry kind of push the whole buying agenda. This is a particular situation where just go ahead and rent for a year, get your feet wet. If you're really liking it, you may have made a bad decision of you maybe don't like the nightlife. Maybe you're still into that, or the particular neighborhood you're at. If you rent, obviously you have no commitment, and then you can actually still buy, after 12 months instead of buying immediately when you do that relocation. Your second group is going to be that relocation because of family. So you have a family right now, you and your partner have a family, and now is that time, the kids are young enough where there may not be an impact to their schooling, and you're going to your relocation area along, of course, because primarily for your job, the schools may be better. So in this situation where it's going to be a longer term, that decision, more than likely, then absolutely you want to really start researching those neighborhoods and buying is a better decision than renting. However, I've had personally in my business here, I happen to be in Chicago, I have also seen people rent for a year to kind of get a feel of the neighborhood. But this is a situation, you have that family, you're gonna want a larger home, you're not gonna be living in a condo. It just may make sense to you to go ahead and make that purchase in your relocation versus that single folks that doesn't have as many commitments and can test the waters easier. And your final group here is you're moving for love, I guess, for lack of a better word. You're moving to go stay with your partner, and it just so happens, of course, you're in a job that has that flexibility, and maybe you're transferring over to another office in another location, and you're going to be living with that partner. So I would still recommend you do research. You just never know what's going to happen. I don't mean to sound jaded here. This is just life, right? And if things don't work out, you're in a city, you don't really know much what's going on about the housing market. So I would do some research just so you have that research in your back pocket. Then of course make that move. And now if you are moving and you're very adamant about having your own place, then absolutely I would rent. rent for at least a year, maybe even 2, in the city where your partner is at, of course, right? And so then you're not really tied down. And then if you're more comfortable, then of course, depending on where the relationship goes, of course, you guys could buy a place together or continue renting. But that's what definitely is the situation versus having a family where it's more likely to buy. I would rent if you're not going to be living with your partner in that new real estate. So now that you're informed about the groups, a lot of it is common sense, right? You now want to know what market. If you're in that position where you at least have the option of looking at a couple of markets, you may not have that option, right? Then you're just going to have it stuck to where we're going. It's a relocation that's been forced, right? But I'm speaking to both groups, really. So in this one group that has that option, you need to understand the market conditions there in order to make that informed buy or rent decision. So what I recommend here is really starting early in the process. Use Zillow, use Redfin, right? And of course, right, us realtors have a kind of a indifferent opinion of Zillow and Redfin. But what's undeniable is the amount of research available. So you can check out trends, you can type in cities. So for example, Phoenix and Austin are very, very hot relo markets. You can literally type in Austin market trends, Redfin, in any order, and it'll pop up. I'm gonna have some, you can see right here on the screen. I can show you exactly, and the website, and you can look at some of those trends and where it's at. Now both those markets, they're a little bit on the high side, so you could potentially, even though it's been dipping percentage-wise versus the real huge run-up post-pandemic, but you could be buying on the high side, so you may want to rent, but renting isn't cheap either. So that market research is really important. Conversely, you may not really care about hot relo markets or having fun in the sun, a la Phoenix or Austin, and you want affordability. You've decided you want to make that buy with the relocation. It happens to be in a market like Cleveland. So if you remember way in the beginning of the video, I had a clip that was a really nice young family that was able to get a home for under $300,000, but it's Cleveland, right? Which is cold as fuck. Sorry, I know a lot of hate from all my Cleveland, and actually I was born in Cleveland of all places, so sorry, I'm just joking. Calm down, everybody. But you may not want to deal with that cold. But it is a very affordable, and they made a lot of great strides, and you don't mind that. Maybe you originally were from the Midwest and you've been living out west and you got a chance to relocate. So that's that kind of dichotomy of what you want. So really what I strongly recommend after to decide, okay, do I want to go to the affordable markets? How maybe the research you're finding isn't giving you the right information. You need to connect with a realtor in that relocation area that you're going. They have the knowledge, they have the market above and beyond the Zillows and the Redfins, and maybe even more importantly, they understand the neighborhoods. So this fits in perfectly into my next segment here, is I'm going to provide you here with the agent referral questionnaire. What is the agent referral questionnaire? Well, in the simplest form, I connect with realtors throughout the nation. And using this YouTube channel, this Relocation with AD channel, I partner with agents in all these really popular relocation areas, and with a simple 10 minutes, you can fill out some basic information. I actually will call you. Yes, I hold your hand through that process. I vet these agents. We even go as far as have accountability calls until you are comfortable. But before we even get to that, fill out the form, and I can connect with you. You still may be 12 to 24 months away from even considering your relocation, but let me see if I can connect you. And of course, if you happen to be going to an area where I don't, I can definitely connect you within, I have a network of agents that can help. First step is fill out this agent. This is my kind of offer to you. Fill out the agent referral questionnaire. It's really, really simple. And also, by the way, if you have a home in your existing area that you have to sell, I can help and connect you with agents to help you list your home. Now let's go on with the rest of the video. Ultimately, when you make that relocation, you really don't want to look at the data and you want to rent, and that's perfectly fine. Again, I know it sounds crazy because a lot of, I think realtors are ranked just above a used car salesman, I think, right? So go ahead and rent. Get a feel. And I'm just going to warn you, and again, in a lot of the major markets, your rent could be higher than your actual mortgage. Now, it just depends on the market you're going to. It's not going to be cheap, but at least you don't have that commitment and, of course, the maintenance part, right? This isn't necessarily a pros and cons of buying versus renting. It's just more of just giving you options. Go ahead and rent. Get a feel of the neighborhood. Get a feel of the city. In 10 months, you may hate the city and want to go back. And you're fortunate to be in a job where they have offices where you used to live. You may have to go back after 10 months. Go ahead and rent. No big deal. Listen, if you haven't already, please comment below. As I mentioned earlier, comment where you live now and where you're considering relocation. Or actually, if you have any relocation stories to share with all this wonderful YouTube community, you may be able to help someone who's considering relocation. Maybe you had a horror story or something, or that you decided to rent or buy, or vice versa, and you probably should have done the other way. Post that below. I love engagement. YouTube loves engagement too. So please comment below. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to continue to provide you value in my Relocation with AD YouTube channel.